In recent years, China has become a central figure in global conversations about economic growth, innovation, and geopolitical influence. However, beneath the surface of its rapid industrialization and economic advances, a much deeper and more troubling issue is emerging: a demographic crisis. This issue is far from a passing concern. In fact, it's getting worse. In today's video, we'll explore why China's population is shrinking, the causes behind this dramatic shift, and what it means for the country and the world in the years to come. But before we dive into today's topic, please hit that subscribe button to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Your support means the world to us, and it's greatly appreciated. Now, let's take a look at why China's demographic crisis is escalating, and what this could mean for the country's future. To understand the gravity of China's demographic crisis, we need to first look at the numbers. According to the most recent data from 2023, China's population has decreased by over 2 million people. That's the largest drop in over 60 years, making it a significant milestone. For context, just a year earlier, China's population had also declined, but the drop was much smaller in comparison. Even more concerning is the birth rate, which has plummeted to just 6.4 births per 1,000 people in 2023. This marks the lowest birth rate in Chinese history. To put it into perspective, a rate this low translates to a fertility rate of about 1 child per woman, far below the replacement level of 2.1 children needed to maintain a stable population. This figure places China among the countries with the lowest fertility rates globally. Only a handful of nations, such as South Korea and Japan, have fertility rates that are similarly low. And there's evidence to suggest that China's actual fertility rate may be even worse than reported. Previous data has indicated discrepancies in official numbers, with some estimates suggesting the real fertility rate may be below 1.0. Now, why is this happening? The reasons behind China's declining birth rate are complex and multifaceted. Here are the key factors contributing to the crisis. Firstly, China's infamous one-child policy, which lasted from 1979 to 2015, left a deep imprint on the country's demographic structure. While the policy was originally implemented to control population growth, it led to long-term consequences that have only now become apparent. A generation of parents, especially those from the one-child generation themselves, were discouraged from having large families. The cultural and societal impact of this policy is still felt today, as many younger Chinese view having multiple children as an economic burden. Secondly, China's economic boom has brought unprecedented wealth to the country, but it has also created enormous pressures. High housing costs, expensive education, and limited job opportunities for young people have made many families hesitant to have more than one child, or any children at all. In cities like Beijing and Shanghai, where housing prices are often higher than those in New York or London, many young couples are simply unable to afford raising multiple children. In addition to economic pressures, social attitudes toward family have shifted. The younger generation in China is more focused on personal freedom, career development, and economic stability than on starting a family. Many millennials and Gen Z are opting to delay marriage or avoid it altogether, further contributing to the declining birth rate. Furthermore, China's population is aging at a rate that is unprecedented in modern history. By 2023, nearly 20% of China's population was over the age of 60, and that number is expected to rise sharply in the coming decades. An aging population places additional strain on the country's economy, particularly its labor force, as fewer working-age people are available to support the growing number of elderly citizens. You might be wondering, why is this such a big deal? After all, many countries around the world are facing similar issues with declining birth rates. It's true that several developed nations, including Japan, Italy, and Russia, are struggling with aging populations and low fertility rates. However, China's demographic crisis is particularly urgent for several reasons. Unlike developed nations facing demographic challenges, China's economy is not yet fully developed. While the country has made tremendous strides in reducing poverty and increasing industrial output, it is still considered a developing nation in terms of GDP per capita. China's average income is still significantly lower than countries like the United States, Japan, and many Western European nations. A shrinking and aging workforce could severely hamper China's ability to transition to a high-income economy in the near future. As China's population ages, the dependency ratio, the number of non-working citizens, children, and elderly, compared to working-age adults, will become increasingly skewed. Fewer young people means fewer workers contributing to the economy, which places a greater burden on those who remain in the workforce. This shift could lead to slower economic growth, higher taxes, and potentially social unrest. An aging population isn't just an economic issue, it's a political one as well. With fewer young people available to work and pay into social programs, the government may be forced to make difficult choices about how to support the elderly. This could lead to increased discontent, particularly among the younger population, who might feel unfairly burdened by policies designed to support an older generation. In response to the demographic crisis, the Chinese government has introduced a series of policy changes in an attempt to reverse the trend. But so far, these efforts have not yielded the desired results. Let's break down some of the most significant measures taken. In 2015, China officially ended the one-child policy and replaced it with a two-child policy, allowing families to have 2 children. However, even this change did not have a substantial impact on fertility rates. In fact, the birth rate continued to decline, prompting the government to introduce further changes. In 2021, the government went even further, lifting all restrictions on the number of children families could have and encouraging a 3-child policy. In addition to policy changes, there were financial incentives introduced, such as subsidies for parents, extended maternity leave, and other benefits aimed at making child-rearing more affordable. But even with these measures, the fertility rate has continued to fall. On a local level, many provinces have increased support for families, including higher allowances for childcare and education, and even incentives for young couples to relocate to less populated areas. However, the broader trend of urbanization and the high cost of living in China's major cities means that these policies often do little to address the core issue. China's demographic crisis doesn't just affect China. The consequences of this demographic shift will be felt globally. As the world's second-largest economy, China's demographic changes will have far-reaching effects on trade, production, and the global supply chain. With a shrinking working-age population, China may face significant labor shortages in key industries. This could disrupt global supply chains that rely heavily on Chinese manufacturing and exports. The country could see an increase in wages to attract workers, which could make Chinese products less competitive on the global market. China's economic growth has been a significant driver of global economic expansion over the past few decades. A slowdown in China's growth, driven by demographic changes, could have a ripple effect on the rest of the world. Developing economies, which have benefited from China's massive market, may see a decrease in demand for their exports. Meanwhile, advanced economies could face challenges in finding alternative sources of cheap labor. An aging population could also alter China's geopolitical posture. As the country grapples with domestic challenges, its ability to project power and influence abroad could be weakened. The government may feel the pressure to divert resources from domestic issues to bolster its global standing, potentially leading to increased tensions in international relations. China's demographic crisis is a multifaceted issue that will continue to shape the country's future for years to come. While the Chinese government has implemented policies to encourage higher birth rates, the complex interplay of economic pressures, social changes, and an aging population makes the task increasingly difficult. As we've seen, the consequences of this crisis will extend far beyond China's borders, with global implications for labor markets, supply chains, and economic growth. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to History and Curiosities for more videos like this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think China should do to address its demographic challenges? We'd love to hear your perspective.